To be magnetic is to pull something towards you. And magnetism in my world is an inherent feminine quality. So being magnetic is not something that you do, it's something that you are. And that's what I want to explore in this episode with you today. I'll share the secret of being truly magnetic with you right at the start. And that is, magnetism is all about the relationship that you have towards something. In the law of attraction, often what happens is we focus a lot on making sure that we do the right things and that we think the right thoughts and that we stay clear and crisp on our goal and our vision and that we don't veer off even for a second. And I've used that practice very successfully in the past, but since becoming more skilled in the feminine arts and doing my training as a feminine embodiment coach, I've discovered that there is another way for us to magnetize to us that which we desire. And the secret is the relationship that we have towards that desire. And so whether it is something specific that you wish to manifest in your life, like calling in new clients or calling in a new relationship or even calling in a new house, there are specific practices and things that we can do that makes us open and receptive and brings us into right relationship with that so that we can create that resonant harmony to draw that into our lives. In this episode today, though, I want to share with you 4 things that you can do, not necessarily for a specific goal, but in order to be more magnetic in life in general. All right, so we may want to have a specific goal, as I said, but we also want to just be magnetic in the way that we move through the world so that we have more flow and ease, so that we experience more things work out for us, so that we know that the universe has our back, we have our backs, and that no matter what, we will be okay. And when we develop these competencies, because it's a skill, right? It's competencies that we develop to be magnetic. The way that we live and the things that we experience begins to change. So let's get started. And the very first competency is for you to really learn and embrace being yourself. So often we go through life hiding our true selves. We hide behind masks and we adopt different roles and different personalities even depending on where we are, whether we're at work, whether we're with our family at home, whether we're with our friends. And so very often people don't really get to see the real us. Not only don't people know who we truly are, but we forget who we truly are. We lose touch with ourselves when we don't feel free to really show the world who we truly are. It often means that there are things about ourselves that we reject. There are things about ourselves that we don't like. And there are things about ourselves that we are ashamed of. We judge our feminine traits. We live in a world where the masculine is still valued above the feminine, and the masculine traits are still valued above feminine traits. And so for us to be ourselves, it means that we need to do some inner excavation. We need to dive into the rubble and clear out the shame, not clear out the things that we are ashamed about, because we want to bring that into wholeness. We want to bring that into our embrace and accept that. And when we do that, when we no longer feel shame for parts of ourselves that we think something is wrong with or that we don't like, this is when we can become confident enough to show up as ourselves. When you have that confidence in yourself, when you have that authentic vibe going on, this makes you magnetic. People are drawn to that. People want to be around you. They want to be in conversation with you. They want to be in relationship with you. If you are standing in your truth, in your authenticity, it makes you attractive. It makes you desirable. When we come into right relationship with ourselves in this way, then we begin to magnetize more things into our life that works for us. And so when you live as a magnetic woman, not only are you able to call into your experience that which you desire, so the clear goals that you desire, your life seems to always work out, even when you have down days and dark things that happen to you, because life happens, right? We can't always ride the rainbow because that is just simply not how it works. We want to have the resilience that when the rainbow isn't there, when it's just thunderstorms and tsunamis, we want to have the resilience and the nourishment from within to ride that wave and come out on the other side. The next condition is to honor what you want. A woman who is unapologetic in owning what she needs and asking for what she needs holds tremendous power. And not power out there, but inner power. Inner power to live her life in a way where she is actualized. She's mastered the skill of connecting to her internal compass, to where her desires are rooted in her body, and she uses that as her guidance. This is how she comes into alignment, and this is how she comes into resonance. This is how she becomes magnetic. Imagine how would your life be different? Simply think about today as you're going about your business. How would your life be different if you honored your desires? If you honored your needs? If your heart was open, right? How often does our inner critic get in the way of us speaking our truth, of trusting ourselves, of holding our boundaries, of believing that what we're doing and how we feel is true and authentic for us? When we come down on ourselves too often, too hard, when we've developed a habit of being mean to ourselves, our heart closes. And one of the key ingredients necessary for us to be receptive to drawing in what we desire is we need to have an open heart. Living in a way where you honor your own needs. It requires of you to be honest with yourself, to develop the vulnerability and that intimacy with self, to be able to pick up when you are out of alignment, and then to course correct, to do whatever internal work is needed for you to come back into alignment, to change whatever actions you are doing on the outside world to come back into alignment. And this becomes easier the more authentic you are. Instead of having your desires and your dreams and your hopes squashed by other people's needs, other people's opinions about what is right or wrong for you, and other people's expectations, we can come closer to our own desires. We can begin to know what it is that we truly want for ourselves, and in that, we can begin to honor this. Trusting yourself is the third ingredient for being a magnetic woman. All of the internal work that we've done up until this point, from moving and becoming more your authentic self, really honoring and connecting with what it is that you need, this will help you build that self-trust. A woman who is living from self-trust is confident. She's not afraid to speak her truth. She's not afraid to have an opinion. But she also doesn't feel that she needs to push her opinion down everyone's throat. She doesn't feel like she needs to prove herself, because in her core, she knows that she is enough and that she can trust herself. A woman who is anchored in her self-trust, I believe she has access to her intuition. She can use that to guide her as she moves through the world. Trust is earned over time. And when we have this habit of abandoning ourselves, when we have a toxic inner critic that rules our life, it also chips away at our self-trust. It affects our ability to hold strong boundaries, because if you don't trust yourself, you're not going to trust that you're making the right decision. You're not going to trust whether you should stay in a situation that's not good for you or if you should leave. Typically, what we do when we have made poor decisions in the past is we keep on reminding ourselves of the poor decisions we have made. We keep on reinforcing our own knowing of we can't be trusted to make the right decisions for ourselves. And so we want to flip that on its head. So instead of looking and reminding yourself of all of the times that you let yourself down, is start looking for those times you've made a decision that worked out, that you did know what was the right thing for you in a certain situation, that you did know when to say yes and when to say no. Begin by dropping little pennies into your self-trust piggy bank, and then over time, you strengthen that relationship with yourself. Start looking for evidence and proof that you can trust yourself. This is how you begin to create new neural pathways and a new perspective of how you see yourself. Imagine how empowering it is to be able to trust yourself no matter what. And then the final ingredient for being a magnetic woman is to be able to discern when you are leaning back and when you need to push forward. Our feminine is the receptive, flow, open, receiving kind of energy. It has a depth to it. Our masculine is the push, take action, move forward kind of energy. It is directive in nature. And so we want to use both our depth and our direction. We want to be able to lean back and push. And it's so helpful if you are able to discern in your own body what energy you are inhabiting at any point in time. Our magnetism requires of us not to go out there and to make it happen, but to first create that internal resonance on the inside. And this draws what we desire to us. And this is true whether you do a specific magnetism practice like I teach, or whether you develop your magnetic resonance as a woman to change the way that you are in relation to everything in your life. This is why the skill of embodiment is such a valuable skill for every woman to develop. It puts you in touch with what is happening in your internal world. It gives you data and information as to how you are being energetically. It takes you beyond the level of the mind, and it really dips you into your depths, into your truth. When we learn the skill of discerning when we are leaning back versus when we are pushing forward, this can again help us to course correct. This is when we bring our awareness and our choice to change our actions and how we show up in the world. We bring that online by changing what we are doing so that we can come back into alignment, so that we can course correct. I want to sometimes have access to my strong doing energy, but first I want to have access to my open, receptive energy. In my body, what it feels like, and you're welcome to go and explore this for yourself because your experience will be different to mine, most likely. In my body, what it feels like is I've noticed when I'm striving for something, my energy is almost peeking out from the tip of my nose. It's as if it's making a strong arrow point and moving forward. My whole body is moving forward energetically. And sometimes my body even takes the shape of that. So my shoulders will pull forward and my neck will stick out as I'm reaching for what it is that I desire. And when this happens, my heart closes. And so your experience might be the same. Think about when you're striving, when you're pushing, when you're in that masculine go. What does your energy feel like? What is your body doing? What shape do you take? When I'm in a receptive energy, when I'm more in my feminine, I can feel how I'm leaning back. I can feel how my energy opens and my heart opens. I have a final tip that I will leave you with if you realize that you are more in your push energy than your receiving energy. And that is to find practices and develop habits that will help you regulate your nervous system. You may find that when you are acting a lot in your push energy, you may find that your nervous system also tends to be in fight or flight, so activated, ready to take action. And when we want to be more in our receptive energy, our nervous system needs to be regulated. Our nervous system also needs to be able to relax and receive. So by learning different techniques and skills and developing habits that can regulate your nervous system, you will be able to better navigate your way through the leaning back energy and the pushing forward energy. I'd love to know how today's episode landed for you, so let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.